ends July 1st.
Mhm.
So hopefully it will kind of transition the market on that. And I'm excited to be here tonight.
Okay, we'll move over to Isa.
Okay, my name is Isa Antipara, and I am commissioned in the state of Florida. And I do notary signing agent or loan signings, and I also do RON. I continually keep working on wanting to do more RON than the loan signing in person. So then kind of focusing on that, I'm excited about Amy's platform coming on and just want to move ahead with that. Do general notary work, but just a little bit, nothing special, just little things that come by.
Okay, so now we'll move down to Meredith. Meredith. Hi.
Hi, I'm Meredith Dominguez. I'm in Clarksville, Tennessee. It's outside of Nashville. I do general notary work, and I'm a loan signing agent. My background, I'm a real estate appraiser for 15 years. And so I just wanted to transition to just add another facet to my resume. I work with a lot of agents that wish there was more remote online notaries here. So that's kind of what I'm interested in, is having that platform for them.
Okay, and now we're going to move to, I don't see a name. I see Kay Prock.
I'm Kim.
Hi, Kim.
I'm a notary as well here in Tennessee. Hi, other Tennessee person. I think that was Meredith that said she was in Tennessee.
Mhm.
And I do general notary work, and I'm also a loan signing agent.
Okay, and Bonnie.
And I do RON as well here in
Okay,
Tennessee.
we have a lot of Ron here tonight. And Bonnie.
Hi, yes, I'm a notary also in Ohio, and yay, Amy. And I do RON work, just general notary work, but mainly on the on RON. And I'm currently on a platform that it's just okay. So I'm very excited about Amy's.
Me too.
And
Go ahead.
oh no, my background, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not licensed in Ohio. I'm licensed in Minnesota. So.
Oh, okay. And Sophia. Sophia, are you there?
Yeah,
Hi.
sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm Sophia. I'm a newly commissioned notary out of Florida. And so I haven't done any notary work yet, but I'm working with Amy on getting her platform up and running. So.
Well, I think we have a lot of Ron, so maybe let's start by talking Ron. And then we can combine that with talking general notary work. So what do you think? Shall we open up this thing by talking about Ron? I have to tell you my experience today. Last week, I was contacted by a woman at a bank, and I spent at least 2.5 to 3 hours talking to her. She had a lot of questions. She was extremely diligent about asking her questions. You know, she wasn't like flighty about it. She asked her questions. I knew she was taking notes. I told her everything. She got back to me. She said, we want to use you. And on Tuesday, I have 17 documents. She sent them to me. I looked at them over the weekend, and the only thing that I could see that was not good was on the body. They were 1-page documents. And on the body of each document, it had like May 13th. But of course, my signing would have been June 1st. So I emailed her this morning and I said, you know, all the documents are ready, but I do have a question. And I said, you know, that inside of the document say May 13th and the jurats are June 1st. And is it all right if I change them? And she ghosted me all day. I couldn't get through to her. She didn't answer any of my calls, and she ghosted me all day. And this is why in Pennsylvania, for example, we're only allowed to charge $5. And when you think about having spent 2.5, 3 hours explaining everything to her and explaining, you're going to get a link and this is what you're going to do. And she had a million questions and I answered them all. When you think about that, and then she must have either found someone else or something happened, because every other time whenever I called her, she picked up her own phone and was right there. And today I couldn't get her no matter what. And I think that that's kind of the reason I'm telling the story, is because I think that the world is very confused about what Ron is. I think that's the only reason I'm telling it, is because I think that we're getting a lot of calls, all of us, by people who are saying, so tell me, what is this remote notarization thing? And they don't know. And so a lot of our time is being spent explaining it and hopefully not getting ghosted after all that time. But I mean, I wanted to hear what your opinions are on that. And especially you, Amy, because you must get that a lot.
I get it all the time. I had one today. A guy out of North Carolina is signing an agreement with someone in Ohio, and the guy in Ohio wants the original document. So he wanted to wet sign it and have me notarize it, and then hand deliver it to the guy here in Ohio. And I'm like, that's not remote notary. That's different. And I can't do that. Ohio doesn't allow that. So that wouldn't be legal. So, we have to use electronic signatures, and every time they print it, it's original. It does. I don't have to deliver or mail a copy, just print it. That's all you got to do, and it's like third world country to people. They don't understand it.
So I created 2 documents. I created a script and I created a frequently asked questions document. And I'm constantly updating them. As I learn something new, I update the document. I'm careful about who I give it to. I don't give it to everybody. But if I get a call from a law firm or a bank or something like that, I give it to them, because my experience is that sometimes you get a call from like the office manager, and after you spend your 20 minutes, the office manager will say, you know what? I think you should speak to our human resources person. And so then you got to start all over. Or they say, you know what? Let me get you in touch with the lawyer, because he's the one that's going to make the final decision. So I created these documents and I have a script. I think the script is, I'm careful about who I give that to, because if they see it, then they think they have a whole lot to do. But the frequently asked questions is a good idea, and I wanted to suggest that. Do you do that? Do you have something like that, Amy?
I have a script, so I get a lot of my leads through Thumbtack. So I have like a predetermined, so if they say I'm looking for a quote, I send a certain script. If they say I'm just looking for availability, I send a script. But it basically all details the fact that there is no in-person meeting. We utilize electronic signatures,
Right.
and it's all done from your phone. And I get a lot of curiosity questions from it. I may not always get the deal, but I definitely get the view. I think last week my business was reviewed 9,500 times on Thumbtack.
Wow.
Out of that, I got 250 leads. So, at that point, it goes on from there. But, I will prefix that with, I have 57 profiles in Thumbtack.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have the only national Ron platform on Thumbtack that I could see.
Well, I think if you want to do Ron and you want to do a lot of it, I think you have to be organized about it. I love your idea about like when they want to quote, you send one script. Maybe you'll share that with me. But because I don't have that, I have a script that says you're going to see a link and this is what you do. And, so that they're not crazy when they get on there and have no clue.
And I've learned less is more. My scripts basically says we are going to have this, no physical in-person meeting is required. It's done over a Zoom session utilizing electronic signatures. And that's where I leave it. Because at the end of the day, that's all the customer needs to know. That tells them everything. I'm not coming. It's all on Zoom, and we use electronic signatures. If they want more details, they'll ask. So I lay the groundwork early. Here's the expectation. You have to come back to me if you want more information.
And if they don't understand that part, they're not going to make it further than that on using the computer and doing their ID and all of that, which is where I've run into problems before, is that they can't go through the functionality of figuring out how to use the computer to upload their ID and all of that. And it just creates this block and they can't get past that part. So they're not the person that needs to be using the RON. Right.
Yes. And that comes back to, okay, if they ask me more details, then I'll go into more details, but I don't want to waste my time chasing down a $35 sale when they're not even going to end up using me.
That's it. That's what I was bringing up. And they're not, how do you know? I mean, who's going to end up using you? Like I would have sworn for this woman. And I get calls, and the calls are like things like, are we going to be able to meet on FaceTime? Are we going to be able to meet on Zoom? I mean, because a year from now, people will know. A year from now, a lot of this is going to be moot because people will know, they will have tried it, they will have liked it, and they will be using it much more so. Go ahead.
Yeah. And you bring up an interesting tip. If they can get through the ID validation, depending on the platform you're using, they don't necessarily have to be in the video session on your computer. I've done lots of calls where I'm holding it up on the phone.
Exactly.
I've done a WeChat because China won't allow the video connection. So you have to do an alternate resource. I do a lot of prisons where they're incarcerated and someone's helped them get through the KBA and uploaded their ID for them to validate them, to clear the link. And then we connect over an app called Getting Out, and I can hold it up and I'm having a live conversation with them on my phone, and it's being recorded on the session.
Wow, Getting Out.
Yes, it's called gettingout.com.
I get a lot of
not very good, but it works.
I get a lot of calls for that, and I tell them I don't know, I can't help you. Yeah, but I guess I could help if I knew that.
They have to have someone help them because someone's got to help them get through the identification. But I will say, with the Getting Out app,
the Getting Out app.
Yeah. With the Getting Out app, it does give their name, it gives their ID, it doesn't show their ID, but it shows their profile. It shows their prison profile, which to me is an equivalent to a prison ID. In Ohio, I have a little bit of flexibility there. So I can at least ascertain that that's really them because I can see their picture, I can see them, Now the prisoner has to pay money to do it, but
my thing is, what I've had the most problems with is the older people. Like older
That's
people.
what I'm saying.
Oh my God.
That's what I've had issues with. They want to do it, but they can't get past the, taking the pictures in different landscape and thing to get past the first part. So that's not always the best option for them.
And they don't always understand or know. I had one woman, and the lawyer happened to be a friend of mine, and he was like, oh, this is going to be great. and they asked her about her daughter, who she was estranged from for like 30 years. And that was one of the questions, was where her daughter was living. And she didn't know because she just didn't. And they wouldn't pass her. You know, the older people are a problem. I really get nervous with those calls.
Can I get a sales pitch in here now?
Did you say?
Can I do a sales pitch?
Yes.
Okay. So on my platform, if someone is hesitant about the KBA process, they can request help instead of just being automated. And because there are some notaries that can bypass it, we can bring in the original notary, and we can bring in a notary that can bypass it, so that the primary, the person, like say Bonnie is the one who actually has that lead, and we bring in a Virginia notary to validate them for their first notarization. The next time Bonnie encounters that person, guess what she can do? She can bypass the KBA because she already knows who they are. So our platform will allow for that support, so that you can call on the expertise or the leniency of another notary's legal terms, and then you can take it over after that.
Interesting.
And see, to me, that should have been a question. When was the last time you saw your daughter?
But they don't do that.
Yeah,
I know, but that's what
They,
I'm just
they
saying.
don't do that.
I haven't
And
seen her in
especially
70
Doc-
years.
I use Doc Verify, and they're very limited.
Right. That's
That's
what I'm
what-
on right now, which is why I want to switch.
I can't wait
Hello,
to switch.
Amy.
No, well, I mean, they're very limited.
Not only that, it's very
They'll
expensive.
allow you to do, and I mean,
Right. It's
like,
crazy.
I still don't think they take a passport.
No, you have to have an ID. It has to be
Yeah,
an actual
so
driver's license.
I had to pass up a job today. I was going to give it to Amy, but then she found someone else. Because he only had a passport, and most of the other, I think Sinex and all of them take passports now. Is that true? Is that right, Amy?
That's correct.
Yeah.
The system I'm using is the same one as Sinex here, and I'll actually give you guys an ID. It'll show you. Hold on here. Knowledge based expect ID.
So, I mean, for general notary work, my guess would be 50% of it this time next year. If you look at June of 2022, 50% of the general notary work will go to remote notarization, because you all know that you get a call now and they say, well, I'll tell you what my best practice is. They call and they say, can I get this remotely notarized? And what I say to them is, have you checked with the recipient of the document to make absolutely sure that they will accept it remotely notarized?
$7 more.
What is it? Did somebody say something? Anyway,
Roxanne,
that's- hi, Roxanne. Did you want to say
Hi.
something?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't know I wasn't on mute. I apologize.
Okay, so that's what
My
I
daughter
do.
asked me, she asked me a question. Yes, but I've been running into the same issues with KBAs, especially with international and also older folks, you know, that their credit history is very old, or, you know, they've moved a lot of places, military, you know, they just don't remember all the details. So this is good to hear.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, they don't remember all the details, and you know, it's very hard to get that done. But back to what I was saying, right now, some places do accept it, some places don't accept it. You know, some banks will accept it, sometimes they won't. But I would say this time next year, almost everyone will accept it. And so half the work, especially with young people, because I don't know about any of you, but the young people, they don't have a minute to waste. I mean, like
Right.
their patience factor is 18.5 degrees below zero. They do not have a minute to waste, whether they're in school or whether they're young marrieds and they got a bunch of kids and both of them have jobs. And I mean, my calls are always frenetic. my wife's a doctor, I'm a lawyer, we have to get in, but we don't know when, because, and then you give them a couple of dates, and then they say, well, I'll have to check her schedule, because, you know, she's busy too. I am extremely busy on Sunday. I'm extremely busy. Sometimes I have 13 or 14 people that come to my office on a Sunday to get something done. They will move to remote notary as soon as they can. There's
Oh,
no,
it's completely convenient, you
I have
know. Yeah, go ahead.
So is our meeting tonight to talk about your platform, Amy, or is it?
No, it's open
No.
for any kind of questions you have.
we started out with, we were going to talk about general notary work and apostilles, which my apostilles are Amy's platform, and we were going to talk about, but there were so many runs, so it seemed like a good place to start out. But I also want to, go ahead, Meredith.
I do have a question about the apostilles course.
Mhm.
So it's my understanding that in Tennessee, and please help me out here if I'm wrong, but in order to be an apostille, you have to be located near the state house.
No, that's helpful, but it's not mandatory. I'm nowhere near my state. I'm in Philadelphia, and my state is in Harrisburg. So
Okay.
you just have to be creative and clever and figure out ways to get the documents up there. And that's a challenge sometimes, but it works. I mean, I've been doing it for 6 years. So no, the answer is it better for you if you live 5 minutes from the Secretary of State? You better believe it is, because somebody can call you and say, I got a rush, I got an expedited order here, and I need it yesterday. You can charge them whatever you want, and then you can run over to the courthouse and get it done. I can't do that. I have to make sure of how am I going to get it up there and get it back. And hey, Kim, could you mute yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I have to figure it out. I mean, it's doable, because all of the secretaries of state accept overnight delivery. You know, there's other ways you can do that. And you could also hook up with another person who does apostilles and maybe share the expenses of getting your documents up or back. Like I have a driver, but you know, I would love to find somebody that would share the expense of him. So there are, but the answer is no. The answer is, it can be done. There are creative ways of doing it. I talk about that in my class. Apostilles, and I'll just briefly tell you, they are a non-restricted fee. It's non-restricted fees. So yes, you have to pay what that state says you have to pay for a notary. And yes, you have to pay the Secretary of State whatever they say, because you can't tell the Secretary of State what you're going to pay them. But the rest of it is up to you. So you can charge for your time, you can charge for your knowledge, you can charge for how long it's going to take you to get the documents. I mean, I don't want to misrepresent. You can't charge $5 million for one document. That, you have to be fair. But there's no state mandate. So nobody's telling you you can only charge this per mile, or you can only charge this per phone call. You can do what you want to do. And if you get lucky and you get a good book of business, you can make a lot of money. So,
And is that something that you could do on Amy's platform, or is that only in person?
no, we will be able, go ahead.
I'm able to notarize documents that go to be apostilled. The trick is, whoever the notary is that state that has to be apostilled through. So like I had a gentleman out of Connecticut, and I notarized his document, and he thought, oh, I can't do this now because you're Ohio and I need Connecticut. But he was able to send it through Ohio's Secretary of State and have it apostilled.
But that's
So-
because the document originated in Ohio. Apostilles can only be done within the state where the document originated. So let me give you an example so that you'll understand what I'm talking about. Let's say, Meredith, that I came to your office and I said, my name is Judi Lawrence and I'm here and I have 5 birth certificates. I have 5 children, but all of my children were born in a different state. They were born in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. So I had, each time I went to a different state, I popped out another kid. And now I need these documents apostille. So your job would be to find out how to get them to the Secretary of State in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. You would find out what that Secretary of State charges, where they are, what kind of copies they need, what, a million different things. And then you would handle those 5 jobs for me. The alternative of that is if I came to you, you're in Tennessee, right?
Yes.
If I came to you and I said, here are my 5 kids, they were all born in Tennessee. So then all you'd have to do is go up to the Tennessee Secretary of State with my 5 birth certificates and get them apostilled. So it's always the state of origination. I would love to read you something and then I'll stop talking about apostilles, but I'd just love to read you something. I took a picture of it. So somebody said on Facebook today, okay, what is an apostille? Can we notarize it? Do I need to know anything special about it? B-O-U-T, about it. I am in CA. And somebody answered this person and said, just go on to the Secretary of State website. It will outline what is needed. It's really simplistic and doesn't require training. When I am asked about this from a client, I tell them the process and to check out the website. Some call back and some don't. I don't care, except for notarization, of course. Who? I mean, that's what's going on now as far
That's
as,
like a lot of Facebook groups.
right.
Like-
Well, a friend of mine called me and she had seen it and then I saw it and she said, take a picture of it. And the next time you're on Clubhouse or on Zoom or wherever you are, read it because it's horrible because it's not true. So my 5 kids stories is the way it goes. If I came to somebody, one of you, and said, I went to college in California, but now I live in Pennsylvania, doesn't matter where I live, that apostille's got to come from California. So when we're apostilling remotely, it will be no different. It is no different. And Pennsylvania accepts a remotely notarized document for apostille. But I don't
So
think
does
New
Ohio.
Jersey's, huh?
So does Ohio.
Yeah, I don't think New Jersey's there yet. But I'm not sure about that. But anyway, that ties into general notary work. And I see Karina has her hand up.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, okay, cool. I have a good example. Okay, I'm from Germany. I moved to California, got married in California, got divorced in California, moved to Florida. So I needed to register my divorce in Germany. So I'm officially divorced in Germany. So they wanted me, I said they required, but I ended up not having to do it, to get an apostille from California. So I would have had to get like some paperwork from the court and send it to the state of California and then send it to Germany. Pretty complicated. I got around it. I talked them into not having to do the apostille, but pretty complicated, yeah. And
it's always more complicated when it's abroad.
yeah,
So it's always more complicated and there's always more steps. But if you're dealing within the United States, one of my first slides is where did it come from and where's it going?
yeah.
So
So
where did it come from? Oh, it came from Philadelphia. Okay, where's it going? It's going to Egypt. Okay, well, Egypt is a non-hate country. So I'm not here to teach apostilles tonight, but if anybody's interested, I teach a great class, and I would love to have any one of you that thinks you would be interested in that, either as a side to add to your regular job, or to, you know, it's really fascinating. You know, you meet a lot of really interesting people. So, but let's tie this in to general notary work now. Where's Amy? Oh, there you are. You moved.
I know, it all shifted on us, didn't it?
I'm looking for Amy, and instead I see myself.
I get it a lot for power of attorneys. So like if someone has an estate, then they're not overseas and they need to give their authority to somebody else to handle that estate or to accept their bequeaths, then they have to have it apostilled to send over there. That's where I see a lot of it.
I do too. I get a ton of power of attorneys. Because if I notarize the power of attorney, it is then a Pennsylvania document. If I put my notary on that power of attorney, it's then a Pennsylvania document, and I can whip it up and get it apostilled in Pennsylvania. However, once again, if they come to me and they want an apostille of a power of attorney, and the notary already put the notary on it in Tennessee, then I got to get to the Secretary of State in Tennessee and find out how to do it. But
Because it's always where the notary is. That's where you got to go.
or where the document originated from, because there are a lot of documents that don't have a notary,
Right.
like a birth certificate, whatever.
Yes.
But
I
believe,
I do a lot of those too, like birth certificate or validation of diplomas.
right. I do a lot of that. That's general notary work, and some of it won't go away. But I would say there'll be a big dent in it by this time next year, because once people find out they don't have to leave their office or leave their house or have a stranger come to their house, once that happens, I'll tell you something really nice that happened today. A girl came in, two women came in to get some stuff done. And then at the end, one of them turned around to me and said, I have to tell you, I really have a lot of respect for what you do. And she had a refi in her house last night. And she said the signing agent was superb. She checked every document. She found things that were wrong. She fixed the counties were wrong. She said, I was so impressed with the diligence of this girl. So I said, did you tell the signing company? Because surely if they had a complaint, they would go right to the signing company and tell them immediately that you missed one box in 600 documents, you know. So, and she said she did. And I said, you know, because it's hard work. It is. You're going into a straight. When Amy and I have done 2 clubhouses about staying safe when you go out, and the safety, how important it is, and different ways to stay safe. And then last Wednesday we did the unauthorized practice of law, which is another big deal. People have to know that they can't say to you, is this document right? Is it wrong? Is it good? Because if you give them,
They can say it, but you're not going to answer.
well, they can say it, but you can't. But the new notaries don't know any of that. Amy, were they shocked when we talked?
Oh, yeah.
We were on for like 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah. and yeah, in both times.
Yeah,
And
it was mind blowing, because nobody knew what the unauthorized practice of law really meant. And I think we got great feedback, and we're asked to do it again, and we will, because it was that good. It was, you know, a lot of times, a lot of these brand new notaries do not take any training. Their training is Facebook. That's where their training is coming from. They ask a question on Facebook, they get 35 answers, 45 answers. And if I got
They're all wrong. Let's take note.
and
They're
most of
all
them are
wrong.
wrong. just like the one I just read you. And they go out and they've had very little training, if any, and they don't, it's not their fault because they don't know, because you don't know unless someone teaches you. You don't know, you don't know about the unauthorized practice of law. I wouldn't have known. I mean, I work for lawyers, so I know. But as if I didn't work for lawyers all my life and somebody said the unauthorized practice of law, I would have been the what? Who? And,
Well,
and
and truth be told, I wouldn't have thought telling someone, oh, you need an acknowledgement or a jurat was a practice of law. You're just telling them, oh, you're just witnessing a signature. Okay, it's an acknowledgement.
Right. You're right.
We're not supposed to tell them that. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Not supposed to choose it. They're supposed to choose it.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that the secretaries of state have become militant now about acknowledgements. I will tell you, I almost send acknowledgements now with everything, because sometimes they send it back if I don't. So it's really it's really rough if you don't have a notary buddy that you can bounce things off on in the beginning. I'm talking about in the beginning. Or if you don't take a training or a mentor or a coach or something, then you are going out there unarmed in your arsenal. You've only got what you think might be right, but you don't, you're not equipped to, like, okay, let's throw it out there. Blank spaces in a document. Let's talk about that. How does everybody feel about notarizing a document with blank spaces in it?
You don't notarize the document. with
Not
blank
doing.
spaces.
Okay, but a brand new notary who never was out there and got trained might not know that.
No, they're going to get told, well, the other notary always did that.
Oh, yeah,
I've always been able to do that.
I get that a lot.
Right. But you're signing it with your own name on it.
And you know what else I get a lot? When I say I won't do something, they say to me, all right, look, my notary who helps me all the time is sick today. She'll do it tomorrow. I go, okay, that's fine. But what another pet peeve I have is when they give you a signature block on a page by itself. So if you notarize a signature block, and these come from lawyers. I had one today. They come from lawyers. And they give you sworn to and subscribed. It's on a page by itself. And I say to the client, you do know that if I notarize this and you've signed it and I've notarized it, you could adopt a child, you could have a mortgage, you could do lots of different things. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something sad. Sometimes they tell me, just do it. This is what my lawyer said to do. So you know what? I put it in my journal. I advise the client not to put, there's not to do, and the client said, absolutely, this is what I want to do. So if I ever get called to the courthouse, I have a record that I told him not to do it. You can't, if a client wants to sign it, I guess you have to sign it or say no. But I don't know that that's grounds. I don't know that wouldn't be perceived as legal advice. We have a lawyer, Bonnie Cram. Come on, Bonnie. Would that be
Well, first of all, I'm not, so I don't hold myself out as a lawyer because I'm licensed as a Ron in Ohio.
Okay.
But I'm only licensed as a lawyer in Minnesota. And
Well,
I'm
in
not
Minnesota,
licensed
in Minnesota, would that be perceived as giving legal advice?
I mean, I think you could argue it both ways, actually. I mean, I really do. Yeah.
It's the beauty of law, the gray area, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, really. Really.
Now, I will tell you that if I get a Ron like that, I tell him I need the whole document or I can't do it.
Right.
And you're talking about and what you're talking about is there's no document. It's just a signature page. Okay, got
Just
it.
the signature page. They do
I
it
get
all,
it all the time.
Yeah,
I get it all the time.
Yeah.
And then I get another thing I get all the time is They have the whole document in their bed. They're acting like they don't want to show me. They go, this is the only page you have to worry about. And I say to them, okay, but I need to see the document because I need to see what it's called. And because I want to know what I'm signing. I want to know what I'm putting my signature on. You know, if they just,
No, I was just gonna say, like, when I do my Rons, I have a transcript that I go through, and one of the questions that we're supposed, at least through, you know, I don't even know if it's through Ohio, but it's through I use Live Notary, and one of the questions we're supposed to ask is, can you please tell me what I'm signing or what you're signing, what I'm notarizing, and then it says, so please explain what it is. Do you understand what this document is? So in my wording, we have to go through it. And, you know, we go through it. So there's no way.
right.
They could.
Well, I ask, is this the document that you wanted me to notarize? And they say yes. And I say, are you doing this on your own free act and deed? And they say yes. And then I say, and will you be bound by signing this document? And they say yes. Those are my 3 questions that I ask. But if they give me something with a signature page by itself on there, I'm done. I don't want it.
Right. See, I wouldn't notarize that.
No, I wouldn't either. I won't. And I don't like a document that has a ton of blank spaces in it, because then somebody could go ahead and fill in those blank spaces and I put my notary on it. And I think some of these people come in and they think this is a joke, because then they say to me, well, okay, if you don't want to do it, you know, like my girl, she was out to that, she'll do it. So who are these people that are doing it?
There's a bunch of them.
People that don't know. I'll tell you another thing I do is if someone comes to me with like a will or a power of attorney, and there's a page that doesn't have anything on it, every single page, bottom right corner, you need to initial it. Doesn't matter how we're doing it, you need to initial every single page.
Okay, well, I go one step further. I take a ruler, I put a line across the whole page, and I say, this page has intentionally been left blank. And if
not blank, as in like there's no, you could literally just pull that page out and put another page in or change the wording.
Right. But if it has a page number on it, you can't do that.
You could if you were creative,
Well,
but if you've got initials, like especially with Ron, it gives you that hyperlink initials. So, you know, but yeah, I make sure there's those initials on every page.
yeah, I try to get them to initial at every page too, even though some of the lawyers don't put the little line or they don't ask them to do it. But I don't feel that's legal advice. I feel that that's good advice.
I feel that's protecting me.
I feel
exactly.
Me, and
that's on the person.
And I think as a Ron, I don't think I'm the greatest Ron. I think I'm okay. I don't do it enough to be that I consider myself an expert, but I think we all have a lot to learn, because I think these are the little fine points that make you the expert. Like I consider myself an expert in general notary work. I don't think there are, I mean, I'm really well versed in it. I've been doing it for years, and I know my stuff. I'm not there yet with Ron. I'm going to get there.
Well,
So,
I think the other thing with Ron, sorry, I didn't mean to, is that and this is not the fault of the Ron, is like, I find that they're always, you know, because it's so new, the platforms are so new, and I don't, you know, Amy, I don't know if you'll find you'll be changing, but they're always to Live Notary. They're out, I mean, and they're enhancing it. They're always making good changes, but they don't always, sometimes they'll let you know, they'll notify you of the changes, but sometimes the appearance, you know, of it, like day to day, looks different, and they've changed things around. Like today I went on and they changed where you're supposed to put a little dot if it's a, you know, jurat or an acknowledgement. And today it was at the top, but like every other time I had seen it was on the side. So I'm looking for it on the side, and it's at the top. You know, it's little things like that. It's not your fault, but things are just constantly either improving or changing. So
And yeah, you're gonna see that with a lot of them, you know, in mine, because I already am planning out a second phase, so it might change. Yeah, but it's good that it's getting better. It's good that they're listening, you know, and that's important because you can only be as good as what you're listening for.
I think, Amy, that I think one of the winningest, if there's such a word, points is that you're going to have online support. So you're going to have, so if you're struggling, there'll be somebody there that can jump on your screen and help you and see what happened and, you know, and try to help you. I wish, you know, I wish that was here today, because I think that would make life so much easier, because sometimes you're in the middle of one and something happens. Like I just found out recently, and Amy, I know you know this, not only can they not pass somebody who has bad credit, well, I don't mean bad credit, doesn't know their KBA. Is that what it is, KBA? But I had a woman who was turned down because she was a very, very wealthy woman and never established any credit for herself. She just paid cash for everything.
Right. I had an elderly lady that was that way. Right.
And she never established anything. So when they went in to do, I said it wrong, not a credit check, but a check on her, they turned her down because she had nothing for them to,
just nothing applied.
Just nothing applied. So, you know,
yeah,
this is something.
And that's how a lot of them are run. They run a soft pool on your credit, and they ask you questions like, for the mortgage at this house, is your payment with which bank? And for that same mortgage, what is your payment in? Is it in 200 to 300 or 400 to 500? And that's what a lot of them use, is a soft pull on your credit to get those KBAs.
I have a question about that. So last week I had to use Notarize as a client because I needed a document notarized, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm just going to pay for this real quick. And I was actually really shocked that the KBA were questions I had never even thought were going to be asked, because I was so used to the soft credit pulls. And it was like, what was the mascot of your college? And I was like,
at some point you've entered that as a security question somewhere.
No,
that's where those come from.
It asked me like what county my sister lived in. And I was just like, it asked me a question about, and then my husband's high school mascot. And I was like, oh my gosh, why would I know that?
I got one better for you. So I pulled all of my developers and I pulled them in through Doc Verify. Okay. And one of the developers got a question of, what is so-and-so's birthday? And so-and-so was her husband's ex-wife.
Oh God.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, she looked at him and she's like, when was her birthday?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
They were very unusual questions, and I was not expecting them. I expected them all to be like credit based, you know, like if you lived at this address or which of these addresses have you not lived at type things. And they were very obscure to me.
And I will say that the platform has control over some of those questions. Like I can go in on mine and I can say, this question should be asked more often than this question. You know, mine, one of the questions I hate is, which street is the closest street to this street?
Oh God.
How am
I'd have to get out MapQuest.
But you know what,
well,
though?
I'll tell you, just the live support is enough to make anybody switch, because Doc Verify.
Oh, they've gotten awful.
Try to enter in for support even during a call. Do you want to know when they tell you they'll get back with you?
Whenever
3 to 4 days.
No. But you know what? I just want to say something. I know you're all familiar, or you've heard of Bill Soroka. And Bill Soroka, to me, is one of the smartest men. And I listen to him And he always says, with the stroke of a pen, and of course now, including Ron, we can change people's lives. We are, this is a powerful thing, being a notary. It's not, you're just a notary, or it's not, you're just a signing agent. It's not, this is think about if you did a will for a person and they put it away, and 20 years later, and when you do a will for someone and estate documents and like a power and all that, you give them peace of mind. You almost see it when they walk out. They feel this peace of mind that they took care of something that they basically probably didn't want to do, because nobody does. And then 20 years later, they take it out and you were the notary, but you didn't get the witness, or you did something that means that now that all that peace of mind was not really real, because they can't use the power or they can't use the will. And I think that with all these questions we're asking and all this, it's so important. It's so good that we're doing stuff like this now. Because when I first became a notary, we didn't have any of this. We didn't have Zoom and Clubhouse and all that. We couldn't talk to people and say, well, what do you think? And what was your experience? And I think it was Kim before. We have two Kims, but I think it was Kim before that said, I've had the same experience. I'm glad to hear that I wasn't the only one. I think it was you. And it's like, we didn't have this. And now that we have it, we need to take advantage of it and try to be as good as we know how to be, because I always worry about that. I don't consciously lose sleep over it, but I'm always wondering, I'm trying to give everybody the very, very best that I can give them. And, and even if it means turning the job down and saying, nope, can't do it. Don't, whatever the reason is, just can't do it. I'd rather do that and have $50 less in my bank account than do something that I think is wrong. And then someday I could hurt their mother or their father or their sister or their brother or something like that. I just hope during the pandemic, I think what happened was that a lot of people heard you could become a notary. It's easy. You can make good money. Does anybody ever go on YouTube and that guy comes bouncing out on you? Because every time I go on YouTube, he comes bouncing out and he says, make $100,000 in the first 6 months you're a notary. Well, you can't. Not unless your best friend is Bill Gates and he has invited you to notarize for every single person in his company. You have to work at it. You have to learn. You have to do it. And I just think this is so good. I think it's very good that everybody shares their experiences and what you can do and what you can't do and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. I just think it's really important because we have a really important function.
Do any of you think that there's a niche of notary that is not Ron right now that you can see like going in the future being like primarily Ron?
Kimberly White, my friend, is here. And Kim, I don't think you're Ron yet.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Can you see yourself? Just an opinion question.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm picking on you, but
that's okay.
Can you see yourself changing to it?
Yes.
Okay. And why?
Sometimes the travel can get a little hectic at times.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, because I'm more mobile, I do a lot of mobile closings.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, that can be like during like bad weather times that will deter me to do the Ron during those times.
Mm-hmm. And
and plus I have a kid that's in school here, because of COVID. So this was making me starting to deter and learn more about it now. So
and Kim, may I ask you, do you think that a lot of these signings, I know you're very busy and I know you
Mhm.
sign all the time.
Yes.
Do you worry that a year from now, some of those signings will go to people who will do them remotely and you will have less work?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. I'm in between because, like I said, I do have some good title companies and realtors that I do work with. So they always feed me, work or whatever. But
what if they decide
then I will do.
that they'll decide go run? Because
Yeah,
I think
and-
I think that title companies are going to go to Amy.
Right.
Aren't they? Yeah.
I'm involved
Yeah.
in meetings with some of the major title companies regarding getting the banks on board with Ron.
Mhm. Mhm.
So then that's when I'll become 100% Ron.
Well, I think you should look into it and look into it and don't wait until it happens.
Right.
Because I will tell you that it's confusing in the beginning.
Yes.
Isn't it? Am I the only one?
No, when I jumped in without even looking at all this, and yeah, I kind of muddled through, the sink or swim kind of method. But Meredith, don't worry. If I get this rolled out and it works, I've got an idea for another session for another company. So it will base on mobile notary versus Ron. So I have more ideas.
No, I was just wondering if you think something like apostille, because it's so specific, and instead of people going and finding that notary that's near that Secretary of State office, do you think that that's something that's going to go, instead of now where it's like 5% online, do you think maybe it'll go 95% online?
I don't know
Yes.
that. I don't know about that because there are still documents that don't need to be notarized. And there are still documents that have to get exemplified copies. It's all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And then don't forget, if you do a non-Hague country, which I won't get into, but there are Hague countries and non-Hague countries.
Right.
If you do non-Hague countries, not only is it a different process, but each of those countries requires something different. So like, for example, Egypt, just because I happen to know that Egypt not only requires a copy of the person's passport, but they require 2 cashier's checks, each in the amount of $25 that have to go along with the job. Some of that stuff will have to be done by people. Where did she go? Oh, she's over there. I keep losing everybody. Meredith, you were up there, now you're over there. But the answer is a lot of it, but there will still be parts of it that will have to be done by a person who knows how to do it. Patricia, you raised your hand.
Trying to get myself off of mute. Hello, everybody. Everybody, specifically Amy. There's 2 title companies right now that do a hybrid version of Ron, and that's Amrock and Solidify. Are you aware of that, Amy, doing that?
I don't work with them. I work with a lot of them direct. I've had some calls regarding this with, I can't disclose, but they've been some major players interested in switching to a new platform because they're not happy. Let's put it that way.
Right, and the ones that they use are, what's the signing company? Not signing company, but the Ron platform starting with the P.
Prosavo.
No.
Yeah.
Provaso.
No,
Provaso.
Provaso, right,
Yes,
thank you.
that's possible. Yes.
Provaso, and I wound up talking with the guy who was over it because Amrock's employees, or as they like to say, partners, could not explain to me my role in this hybrid platform with the client. It works and it doesn't work. Like the guy told me, if the lender isn't stressing to the client that they have to have X amount completed online by the time you, the notary, shows up, you still might have to do a whole refinance, paper refinance, because it's not done. So your paperwork has increased on the day that you have to go out there, because they look in the system and they realize that Amy hasn't completed her part. And they don't say that it must be done. They just say, oh, Patricia, take these extra documents and get them signed like you normally do with wet signature. My only thing about Ron, going back to what Judi was asking Kimberly, with those KBAs the way they are, I can see a whole lot of people not wanting to tackle that format of signing. Because if, you know, me, myself, what was my second grade teacher's name? I don't know. I don't know what the person I talked to yesterday's last name was without looking at my notes. So if that precludes you from getting a seamless transaction for a loan or whatever else, I don't see it being embraced that easily.
And I think
That's
that's
just my
why they
opinion.
are switching the platforms and
Mhm.
making it easier for people.
I agree.
Because Illinois, I'm from Chicago. We don't have Ron, we have Ren. But when it first came out, my fear of missing out caused me to get an electronic signature and certificate. I've renewed them both. But again, I don't see the adoption growing. Because with Ren, you still have to have a wet signature and a stamp by the notary. But you can do everything else online.
Well,
So that's my,
I think I disagree. I think that a lot of people are going to go to it. I
think
think,
it
And
depends
Patricia,
on the
I've never
age,
done a
Judy.
split signing. All of
Hmm?
mine are 100% Ron. So when I sit down with a seller on Ron, I'm doing every document. I'm not splitting it with a in-life person notary. But I will say a lot of my Rons are with people who are located outside of the USA.
Okay, and I can agree to that, because isn't there an adoption rate by the people who you're doing business with, those people who are more technologically savvy?
I will tell you what, I do not have to sell Ron to someone overseas. I only have to sell it to a US citizen.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yes.
that I can totally. And if we ever get it here, I'm knocking down your door, Amy, and I'm like, sign me up. But I think here we're so resistant to it, you know.
well,
But that's my 12 cents.
I have not yet tried a whole signing package. I would like to, but I'm not going to do it on Doc Verify, because to be honest with you, they got they're very expensive. And if you make a mistake, it costs you a lot of money to make that mistake. And I'm not ready yet, but I would like to try it. I would like to, you know, I would like to see what it's like to do a whole package like that. Now, I have to ask Amy what her packet is going to allow. Doc Verify only allows you 8 documents in a packet. So if you have 40 documents, you have to do it in 5 packets. I have to ask Amy, but she's on the phone. So general notary work to me is going to be general notary work. I hope it stays forever. I love doing it. I love meeting all different kinds of people. I have a walk-in office, and I, you know, like lots of different kind of people come in, and I hope it stays forever, but who knows? You know, it's just a question of what people want, and we don't know yet, because people haven't been exposed to it yet enough. Most people, like we were talking about earlier, still don't really even know what it is. They call it, you know.
Another question for Amy. Will your platform be for bring, or will you also provide clients?
She's on the phone.
He's on that phone, yeah.
She's on the phone. So wait till she gets off the phone.
I can't see her.
So what does everybody, do you do general notary work, Kim, over here? Not Kimberly, Kim.
Me?
Do you do general notary work, or are you a signing agent?
Both.
Both? So where do you get most of your work from? from your general notary work?
Just friends and just literally word of mouth. I
And
give
me
a
too.
card to every single person that I see and just word of mouth.
Right.
hmm
Me too. Me too. How about you, Isa?
I don't do a lot of general notary work.
Just signing?
Yeah, just the signings.
And do you
I'm
do a lot of,
Ron.
do you do your signing work through Ron?
Some of it.
Do you?
Some of it, yeah.
What-
I still
what-
do in person, and I'm doing Ron and wishing to do more Ron.
So what's it like to do a whole package, like on the documents where there's only a little tiny space? You know, like some of the documents don't allow you a whole space.
Mhm.
How do you circumvent that?
The my stamp, it is,
Yeah.
you can resize it. You
Oh,
can
okay.
resize the stamp.
Oh, I
Yes.
didn't know that. See, I didn't.
Yes, you can. Mhm.
How do you,
I always look and make sure that it's still legible. I don't want to make it so tiny that it's not legible. So, but I
are you
can
on,
resize
are you
it.
on Doc Verify?
No, no.
Okay.
I have been using OneNotary.us.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, because I don't think we can resize our stamp.
Oh,
I don't think we can either on Doc
No,
Verify.
I don't think we
I've
can.
never
I
seen
have
that.
used OneNotary and Live Notary, and in both of them, I am able to resize the stamp.
Well, that's a good thing, because that's one of the things that I wasn't sure how to deliver that, because I know on the signing documents, there are some of them that don't have a lot of space. They don't give you a lot of space.
True.
And I was wondering how you would do that with a
Yeah.
remote.
And sometimes the way they make the documents is just crazy, because exactly where you would place your stamp, they put seal.
I
And
know,
it's right in the middle.
I know. So
So
I
it's
think,
like,
wait, I think Meredith had a question for
Amy.
you, Amy. Was it Meredith?
Yes. Amy, is your platform to where we can only bring our own clients, or is it a hybrid where you provide some work? It's a hybrid. The difference with mine is when someone uploads a document, it's not an algorithm that's just going to assign a notary. The client actually can conform it and find a notary that they want. So having your name out there, promoting yourself, because they can search by name, they can search by, I need a Spanish speaking notary, or I need a Chinese speaking notary, or I need someone that can do sign language. They're going to be able to filter the notaries based upon skill set. So definitely anything you can do to promote yourself helps get your name out. So when they're on there, they can find you. And just so y'all know, I just got a new deal with a dude who is a realtor in Washington, and he is booking on my site right now. So
Good
There
job.
you go.
good job. Yeah,
There you
I
go.
wouldn't have answered, but it was the business line. So
I sit right here with my,
Congratulations, Amy. Congratulations.
Okay, so I have a question. Will you be able to preview the sheet once you've filled in your stuff before you notarize it?
So in mine, once you get into that session, when you get the Zoom link, because it's Zoom that we're using as the audio visual, you as the notary have control of that room, so that people that are signing are in the waiting room, and you can do the document and you can tag it, and then you can bring them in. Or if you can multitask or you have questions, you can bring them in while you tag it. It's the notary's call.
Okay, because I'm a little OCD, and when I drag my little boxes and stuff, I like for it to line up nicely, and there's no way to like preview it and see if it's actually in the right little spot
I know what you're talking about, because
to where it's
sometimes
not
it like
overlapping. Right, I
Mhm.
don't want it to overlap into other text, but sometimes it's hard to see if it is sitting in the right spot. Does that make sense?
It does. However, I'm using Adobe Sign as the
Okay.
software. So when
Okay.
you drag and drop Adobe Sign, it actually sees the line and it
Won't let it sit on another
adjusts.
thing. Okay,
And you can adjust the box. You have control to edit it if it makes it too small, but it conforms to the line that you're putting it on.
okay.
Makes it a
That's
little
just something
easier.
I worry about in the other one of, is it sitting on top of something else or is it, in the right?
Yeah. And I run
it
into
too-
that a lot with Florida.
Right, is
Because
it
if you
too
don't
high
have
up
that
or too
checkbox
low or,
just in
right,
that right line, they'll reject it and you have to do it all over.
right.
Corinna has a question.
Yeah, I'm still pretty new. I mean, I got my notary commission. I'm still working on finishing my loan signing training, and I'm always ahead of myself now. I want to do Ron too. I want to do everything at the same time. But how does that exactly work with that Ron platform? Okay, so the clients, they have paperwork. Do they have to like scan it and upload it to that platform so they get like a login?
Yeah, they have to, the documents have to be soft. They have to be a soft copy. So either scan it, take a picture and upload it. They have to somehow get it uploaded into the system.
Okay.
A lot of times people download it anyway, so they typically have it in a soft format because they printed it out.
Okay, and then there's a way for them, because I haven't seen how to do it. Then there's a way for them to put their like signature, like just typing their name, or like really writing.
Both. Well, with mine, you can type it, you can draw it with your mouse, and I'm doing that as if you can actually see me do it. Or you can upload an image of your signature, or you can attach a digital certificate. So like if you, for instance, in Florida or Texas, you have to have a digital certificate as a notary, and it validates who you are. It has an expiration date, and you can attach that as your signature as well.
Okay, is that digital? I'm in Florida. Is that digital certificate like a notary stamp? Or what does it look like? What is that?
It is more of a credentialing behind your signature than it is a stamp. So it validates, it gives you your own serialized coding for your signature. And then it
how does it look like? Anyway, you can
it's not really something you can see. It's code. You upload this code and it presents itself as validation behind your signature.
then you just edit it. I mean,
You don't even edit it. Once you upload it, it just applies it. And depending on the document, it looks different in every document.
Is that difficult to do, or?
No, because you just buy it and it's already there. So like a Trust or DigiCert, there's lots of people that you can buy a digital certificate from. And you just literally just attach that to the signature spot and it pre-fills all of the data.
Okay. And
It's
then
like your own fingerprint.
Mhm.
and then I don't need to stamp anymore. I can really not visual. I'm a very
You have a stamp too. You'll still have a stamp, but the signature would be through the digital certificate.
And how much does that cost usually if you?
Well, the stamp with my platform, I'll give you for free. The certificate, I think Trust is like $70 for a year.
And I think I paid like over 200 with the Doc Verify, didn't I?
Yes, and you can't take that with you.
I know that.
Yeah, I did too. I feel you.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, Trust is like $70 a year or something like that.
Mhm.
And then you can buy, depending on how many years you want it to last, it varies in price.
Mhm.
And you do need that. You do need to get that from a company somewhere.
Every state's different. Ohio doesn't require it. So I never had to buy one. But I did because Doc Verify required it. But your state sets those standards. My platform will allow for either way. So
Okay. So do you know Florida requires it? I'm not sure.
you said, did they require it down there? I'm pretty sure they do.
Florida, I have no.
Yes, in Florida you don't. I have Trust. Yes, that's the one I have.
So
how much-
ladies, do you have any other questions for us?
I think Meredith, did you have something else? I think.
Oh, my question was for Kim. Since you do Ron in Tennessee, you said, right?
Mhm.
So if we have more than one platform, do we have to apply each time with the state to let them know the
No.
platform?
Well, you don't have to apply again, but you have to log on and let them know.
Yes.
Okay.
So they give you you enter your email and you have a password for the Secretary of State thing, and you just log on and add different platforms to your
Okay.
They have to know.
to your
Pennsylvania-
ID thing.
Right.
And
They
that's
have
true
to
with
know.
all the states. If you're going to use a different or multiples, you have to tell them.
Right. You
Okay.
just let them know. There's no extra fee or anything. You just let them know.
Okay, thank you.
I guess just
Although
so
I
they
did
can
have
track
someone
you.
tell me in Texas that the Texas Secretary of State told them that it didn't matter if you told us or not. We don't have any way of documenting.
I have another
Tennessee
question.
probably doesn't either, but I still let them know.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Better safe than sorry.
I have a question regarding updating the state. When I did my notary commission, the state of Florida, I remember you had to like put your employer and then have somebody, do an oath that you're a good person. And I believe it said when you move and when you switch employers, or if you don't work there anymore, you have to let the state know.
That's true.
Why exactly? I mean, what do they care what or where I work, or if I don't, or
Because there's a database in every state of notaries that are active and working or maybe not working, but active. And they like to keep track of that in certain general notary work. Like if you're doing something for Puerto Rico makes them attach to the document a notary certification. So they have to get from the state a verification that you're still a notary, that your commission is still in effect. And I think that's every state. I think they just have to have a record of every notary that is active. Am I correct?
No, I mean, why do they care if I have an employer or not, or who my employer is?
I think that's based on your state, because Ohio doesn't ask me that. So it's something within your state laws.
Well, like some people work for a bank and only do notary work for a bank and only do it while they're there at the bank.
Well, now you do know that if you get your notary while you're employed by someone, and you leave employment, the notary, the seal, the stamp, it all goes with you. Doesn't matter who paid for it.
I
It
know.
all belongs to you.
Yeah, because the little known secret, my employer actually paid for me to start doing Ron. And I've turned it all the way around.
Yeah, I know. The same thing with me. My boss wanted me to do the notary, and he signed the oath that I'm a good person and all. And I put the company name and everything. But right now, me and him are not at the best terms. So I'm about to leave and do my own fortune. And I'm like, oh, now I have to tell the state that I don't want to work anymore. What if they call him? And we are not on best terms,
I don't think that's the initiative behind that. I think it's more of a correlation of the documents that you're doing, because a lot of times if you're applying for a notary and you work, like I got my notary initially because I worked for the sheriff's office. So I was notarizing warrants. And I think that's where a lot of this where they're coming in from, is that they want to know if you're primarily working for them, you're going to be doing a lot of those documents and not necessarily general notary. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
Right. Same thing, like if you're working at a bank and then,
also,
you switch banks or something.
not just that, also, I had a friend and she works for a title company and she wanted to do the notary, but she said it's a conflict of interest because she works for the title company. She's not supposed to do her notary or work as a loan signing agent or notary. So
I've run into that.
I gotta go.
Bye, Isa.
Good night, ladies. Thank you. It was
Oh.
very nice chatting with all of you. Goodbye.
You too. It was
Nice to meet
see
you.
Judy, talk me up.
I
Bye.
just got a signing for tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock.
I have seen people run into that conflict of interest when you work for an agency like a mortgage company. I turned it off. Or even a government agency. So like I work for a government agency and I can't notarize documents that are going to be turned into me because that would be a conflict of interest. I'm not supposed to see them before they come into me. Or my sister, not Sophia, my other sister-in-law, she works for a bank and they don't want her notarizing documents and it be wrong because it's a reflection on them. So there's, you know, ifs, ands, or buts when you get into that legality of employers, things of that nature. But it's not that the employer technically has a say over what you do, but what you do has a reflection on what they do. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yep, and you know, you have to, I always laugh when I read this, because I teach how to become a Pennsylvania notary. And I always laugh when I read this because it says, if you die, you have to make sure that somebody gets your seal and stamp and everything to them within 30 days. Now, or you'll be sanctioned. Well, how are they going to sanction you?
Yeah. Can't kill a dead man.
Have fun with that one.
You know what I mean? That always makes me
Get a
laugh
bad
when I
name for the
You're
day.
dead.
I'll have to
Who's they gonna come after?
Who they gonna come after? What are they gonna do? You know? Well, this was really good, really interesting, and hopefully we can do it again. If anybody needs a Clubhouse invite, we have them. We're going to be on Clubhouse tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, talking about safety of your credentials, what you should give to people, what you shouldn't give to people, where you should keep your credentials, trying to save yourself from being hacked. This will be our third in a row. Like I said, the first one was how to keep yourself safe. And that was great. Last week was the unauthorized practice of law. And this is going to be how to keep not only yourself safe, but your credentials safe. And some of the things you can do. I'm trying to work. And Amy and I are doing a really good job at this. We're trying to bring value to the room of not just talking about the same thing over and over again, but trying to find topics that nobody talks about. So if you want to come on Clubhouse tomorrow night at 8 o'clock and you don't have an invite, contact one of us and we'll be glad to give you one.
Thank you so much.
And I don't know, are any of you NNA people?
Mhm.
You know that the conference begins on Sunday, the virtual conference, and going to be fabulous. They're going to have over 30 presenters, including me, and all kinds of different subjects, all kinds of different things. So if you haven't already signed up and you're so inclined, you should.
It's sold out now, Judy.
Is it?
Yeah, you can't get a ticket because I was going to go and get one because I was late to the game, but I can't even go.
How could they sell that when it's virtual?
Well, there's limits to every virtual room.
Maybe I guess that's what they had a limit and they couldn't do anymore. But I will tell you that I presented virtually with them last year, and I still get emails from people who just got around to looking at my presentation. So it will stay there. It just won't be that particular day, but it will stay there. And yeah, so if we don't have any more questions, I guess we'll say hasta la vista for now.
All right. You ladies have a good evening.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night. Nice meeting you guys.
Good night.
It was fun. Good night. We'll see you again very soon.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.